this, but all right.
Go
Okay, so
ahead.
welcome to this evening's in between rounds chat. I have a few questions that did come in ahead of time, so I'm going to start with those. And basically, you're in luck that you are here, Mo, because I'm going to start by talking about heavy weights and what to be doing if you're struggling at home. Because the question that came in, basically, this is the question. It's, I don't have a bench and a bar. I am finding it hard to lift my heavy weights before lying back onto my step-up bench. And then the question is, maybe I should try to get one workout done in the gym because she doesn't want to get injured lifting these heavier weights. And so my answer to that is yes. If you are, any of you, if you are interested in having access to like a bit more equipment and maybe, yeah, things like you don't have, if it's like a proper bench or a few different weight options, a few easier ways to get into the exercises, by all means, I would love if everyone was in the gym doing these workouts. And that is just because of the, the access to more equipment and bigger space. However, I can also appreciate and acknowledge that a lot of you have invested a lot into your home gym. Some of you pre-pandemic, but a lot of you, it was during the lockdown. You bought the equipment and spent the money. So by all means, you can continue at home using what you've got. But I'd say, over time, it will be beneficial to either continue to slowly add to your home gym or even just get the odd workout in at a gym where you do have a bit more equipment. Pre-lockdown, this program was intended to be done in the gym. Essentially, having like that personal trainer in your pocket at the gym so that you could go around and know exactly what you were doing. Of course, like everyone, we had to pivot when we were all working out from our homes, regardless if we wanted to be or not. And that's why many of you know, I do have 2 streams right now. So there are a bunch of you that are in my in-gym stream. So not everyone is still at home. And so the people who are at the gym doing SheFit, they essentially are doing the same workouts as those of you who are doing your workouts from home, but they have a little bit more variety in their exercises. So for example, if you were doing a bent over row at home, sometimes they'll be doing a bent over row too, but I'll often have them doing like a seated row, with the cable machine where they can sit there, or lat pull down, or things like using the leg press or the hamstring curl machine. So they're not always doing hamstring curls on the ball and that kind of thing. So the nice thing about being back at the gym is you do just get a little bit more variety. But there's a bit of a catch-22 because there are some people who are at the gym, but maybe they're at their office gym and it is smaller and they don't have all of the gym equipment either. So you may have to do some swaps. And if you are someone with the home-based program, but would like to, even just dabble with the gym every once in a while, don't be afraid to swap some of the exercises if you don't want to fully go into the gym program, and know that, and I can even let you guys know in a separate post about what some of the common swaps are for like, things like where you would fit in that lat pull down or the cable row, or, sometimes I have the people in the gym using barbells more often because at the gym, they have the option of having those like pre-made lighter barbells, or you've got your squat rack and you can get right underneath it and make it a little, easier to do barbell on your back. So lots of huge benefits for getting back into the gym. And it's not just about, now that we're all stronger and like it is harder to get those weights up. And if you're doing it on your step-up bench, that's going to be much smaller than a proper bench. So So catch 22, I mean, even if, I don't know if you have the space, but you might want to consider getting a bench at home. There are benches that do also fold up so that they aren't just always taking up space, but those ones are a little bit more costly. So you can take that with a grain of salt, and I would suggest even in trying. There's plenty of gyms that also offer drop-in so that you don't have to, sign up for a membership, or even like punch pass options. That's kind of usually the best if you can get like a six entry punch pass. So you're going to get a little bit cheaper instead of paying straight drop-in, but you're not committing to a monthly membership unless, of course, you want to. So I will leave it with that on that topic. And this is perfect because I am about to answer a question for someone who is just logging in right now. So I will stall a little bit. Actually, I'm going to answer something first. So I'll give you a chance to look. I see it. Hi, Sandra. So the next question that came in had to do with making the workouts shorter. Now, this specific question had more to do with someone's health right now, but I've had this come up a few times. So I thought that I would just address it in general. To me, well, I'm sure you guys have all heard this many times that I say something is always better than nothing. So if you are pressed for time or pressed for energy and you don't have either the time or the energy to do the full workout, I would still always highly suggest that you do part of it or some of it, and just really start, whether that's, maybe if it's even only 10 or 15 minutes, maybe you have up to half an hour, but whatever it is you have to work with, I would highly suggest you work with it. Now, the question had to do with what's the best way to make the workout shorter. And it does vary based on your frequency. So if you're someone who's needing to make the workout shorter occasionally, just rarely, you generally do the full workout, but like once in a blue moon, you've got to sort of shorten it up. I have no problem with you skipping some of the exercises when that's sort of a rare occasion. So I would always suggest you start with the first group of exercises in every workout. Is sort of they're always the main movers of the workout. So I'm talking about the exercises that are after your warm up and after the mobility. In that first group, those are generally going to be sort of the two biggest movers or main muscles of the workout. So that's the most important group. I would suggest you do at least that. Do that for your 3 sets. And then with whatever you have, if you have some extra time, you can pick and choose from the other exercises to get something else in, or maybe a little bit of core, that kind of thing. However, if you're someone who is going through something in your life right now that's making it really tough to get the workouts in, you can get them in, but you can't do the full workout on a regular basis. For you, I would actually suggest that you go through the list of all of the exercises. So instead of doing the groups of supersets the way I have them, I would start with exercise 1, go to exercise 2, and then go to the next exercise, even if it's in a different group. And so basically you're going to go through the entire list of exercises, which is usually 6 or 7 exercises. So do all 6 or 7, and then repeat a second set if you have time. If you only even have time for 1 set, the benefit to that is you'll at least have gone through each movement once. If you can get that second set in, great. And by doing it this way, because you're moving from one to the other, you'll end up taking less rest. So sometimes you even can squeeze in all 3 sets because you've done it in that different manner where you've moved from one to the other. So with whatever time you have to work with, that's why I would suggest that. Like, let's say you only have 15 minutes, go through that list. And even if you only get through half of the second set, great. Maybe you have a little bit more time. Maybe you have 30 minutes. You can probably get through well, all of it twice and probably a lot of it for that third set. So a few different ways to play with it, but like I said, it truly depends on the frequency. If you are only ever rarely needing to shorten it, stick with it for sure, and then play with the time that you have to fill in with some of the other exercises. The next question I had, basically I just want to scroll here, make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, so this is actually a question that has come up numerous times, so it is a good question. And the question is, when I am tracking my weights, should I be adding the weights together or just tracking them as the single dumbbell? Well, truthfully, you can track the weights how you want or what makes sense to you. Because I am looking at them, and if you do it differently than I want you to, it's okay, because I do want it to make sense for you. But I would suggest, if you would like to do it the easiest way, because we all like easy, and you know, I guess if you were to move into another program, this is sort of the universal weightlifter way to track weights, is to never use math. So no, don't add them together. If I was doing a bent over row and I had 10 pounds in each hand, so I was holding two 10-pound dumbbells, I would actually track it as 10 pounds, so that when I'm at the gym, and I know at home it might seem redundant if you only have a couple options for weight, but the reason we track it this way is, think of the gym when you have like racks and racks and racks of all those dumbbells, and some of them are 12 and a half and 15, 17 and a half, like there's so many options. So you put the number, track it, what's in your hand. So I used tens with an S. I used a set of tens. So I track it as 10.
Okay.
Is that 10 each arm?
Thank you.
Yeah. If you've been tracking it the other way and you want to continue tracking it that way, that's totally fine, because it's up to you, and I want the app to make sense to you. But I do find like it just gets a little bit more confusing when you're somewhere like the gym with more options. The only time you would ever add anything is if you were at the gym using a barbell where you're putting on the weight plates. That's where you would want to add that would be the total weight. So whenever you're doing a barbell exercise, generally you would track that as the total weight. So you would add all the plates together. But I have had other people in the past that prefer not to do the math for that. And then they actually just track it as whatever plate they've put on the outside. So let's say you put on a 10 plate on either side. They will track that as 10, even though the actual weight is 10 on each side is 20, plus the bar is 45. So that's actually 65 pounds, but they'll track it as 10 because it's easier for them. They just know, oh, I put 10s on, or 25 or whatever it may be. So really, truly make it make sense for you. Kind of associated with this question, I've had people ask about when you're doing a single arm thing. So the same thing relates to, I'm going to give you actually the example of doing a chest press, because we've done single arm chest press and we've done regular double arm chest press. And let's say I'm using 10s for my double arm chest press. I'll track that as 10. If I'm doing a single arm chest press, I still track it as 10, because I am doing 10 each arm. I'm holding a set of 10s, or I'm holding a 10. I will also track the reps in the same way. So if I'm asking you to do 10 reps of a single arm chest press, you'll also track the weights as 10, not 20. Don't add 10 here and 10 here is 20, because that just gets confusing down the road. It's 10 reps per arm. Just in the same way, if you were doing 10 with both arms at the same time, you're still only doing 10 reps per, okay? So keep that in mind. That is sort of the universal way to track it, but your app is yours. Track it. If it makes more sense to do it a different way, go ahead. Lastly, the other thing that I wanted to go over is I had one specific demonstration question, and then I'll open the floor for those of you who are here in case you do have other questions. But basically, this came up sort of a while ago. As you guys know, I like to challenge you with core exercises and whatnot. And over the course of it, so many of you have been here for quite a while that you've now been able to progress to the point where you can do some of those really difficult things. But the one thing that came up was the V-sit. So really the question was, how do I make it look so easy, and to show you some ways to modify. So you have to keep in mind, I've been doing this for a long time. So yes, I can make it look easy because I feel like it's part of my job to make it look easy. If I was struggling to demonstrate, you'd never want to try it. So most of you know what the V-sit is. That's when you have both arms out, both legs out. Okay, and you're going to meet in the middle. So I'm here. And the trick with the V-sit is this balance point. If you struggle to find this balance point, that's going to be much harder. Things like V-sits are also actually harder for taller people because they have longer limbs, and moving the longer limbs is actually harder because of that weight distribution. So if you are struggling to find that balance point, even if you're not the tallest person in here, bending your knees is going to make it easier. So the first alternative I'll give you is start in the same way, but instead of keeping those legs straight, come in with bent knees. So I'm still doing a V-sit with my upper body. It's almost like a jackknife, but with my arms. Okay, because you guys know jackknives look like this. So I'm not using the arms, but my legs do the same. You may also struggle with jackknives because the same rules apply. I'm balancing on this point. So if you really can't find this point, use your hands, fingertips here, and that's going to make this exercise much easier. It's not going to make it easier on your abs. You will still very much feel it, but you're not going to fight with your balance and where you are on the ground. So you can start there, and I often find I'm just using my fingertips, so I'm not really helping with my hands. I'm just not tipping over, and then eventually you'll be able to get those arms off, and then eventually you'll be able to keep the knees bent, but use the arms like a V-sit, and then lastly, keep those legs straight. So I hope that helps. And for those of you who are here, do you have any other questions, or even if you want me to go into more detail about anything that I did go into?
Sandra got something?
No.
No, I do.
Thanks, Mo.
Yeah, well, keep on, Sandra. Stay on, because
I am on. I'm on.
okay. So I'm going back to my free weights on the step.
Yeah.
So what I do is I place my step fairly close to my wall,
Mm-hmm.
and I dig my toes into the wall so that I can, I've literally got my bum off my step because I want my back and neck to be supported, right?
Yeah.
The hardest thing is I cannot bring the weights up from the floor because there's just too much pressure.
Yeah.
So then I've got those weights on my hip bones. So it's just, I just find it, and especially if I'm doubling, if I'm trying to get to 30,
Oh yeah.
and I've got a 25, and I'm thinking, how am I going to do this? And so I ought not to, because I'm really scared that I pull the bicep when but in general, when I'm doing a more of a supported stance, because if I go onto my stability ball, I've not got as much support,
Right,
correct?
correct.
So should my free weights be on my hips to start and not on the floor?
Correct, yes.
Right.
And now, right now, I'm just trying to think what I can use to mimic that, because I don't have my step here.
No, that's
at the
okay.
gym. But
So I should put them on my hip.
you do, yeah, getting them from the floor. The reason you don't want to do that is, I'll just pretend these are really heavy, okay? So I'm gonna use my ball, but we're also gonna pretend that the ball is the bench. Because
Okay.
it sounds like you're kind of almost similar, right? So you've got your
Yeah,
arm off
yeah,
the bench like
correct,
this.
correct.
So you're in position, and if you were to grab those weights from the floor, just watch what happens. I'm like reaching down and really straining this shoulder.
Oh yeah, it's far
grab-
too much.
This is a little bit too far, but okay.
Yeah.
To grab that weight down here, I run
Yeah.
a risk of injury there. If the weight
Yeah.
was here, this is going to be a bit better, so I can come.
Yeah,
Depending
yeah.
on how long that bench is,
I
you might be
gotcha.
able to grab it, but I would just actually suggest that, let's just put this here so we'll pretend it doesn't roll. Have your weights, put them on like even just your thigh
Okay.
like this,
Okay, okay,
okay? And then,
okay.
you'll have to, this will be further, so that they're on like this. And then as you lay back, as long as you've got your, sort of your butt or the top of your back in a spot on the bench where you want it. As you lay back, you can start to almost, not really a bicep curl, but you kind of, as you lay back,
Yeah,
you bring them with
Okay.
you, or you keep them right into your chest
Yeah.
like this. So
Right.
that now they're here. And then
gotcha.
here it's gonna be easier,
To push up, right. Okay, that's good.
whatever the exercise may be.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah.
so even in the gym, it's gonna be a little bit easier because now with the gym, you have a longer bench. So that's what
Bench.
the proper bench is nice
Yeah.
for that. But you ever see like the guys who like bench press like the huge dumbbells that we're not even sure how they even lift them up. But they always actually start with them here. And let's say they're trying to do, here's a good one, a shoulder press. The move that helps you get the weights up, you're doing a heavy shoulder press and you're sitting, is you kind of like bump your leg like this to help get
Oh,
a little bit of momentum. So
Boom.
people will also do that on a bench. I can't really do it on a ball because I'm gonna fall, but
Right.
sort of like as they lay down, they sort of like bump up the weights to get into a position.
yeah,
Okay, so it's like this. But
right.
because you'll just be rolling back into that.
Yes.
Um,
And actually Sandra, do you have anything?
No,
Okay.
she answered my question, Mo.
Right, so
I
I have
did.
one other that you clicked me in.
Okay.
I have quite fairly good shoulder mobility,
mhm.
as I'm sure Sandra does from her swimming. But when I go
Yeah.
back on the straight arm,
Yeah.
there must be a lot of pressure put on the shoulder joint there when you're going up to something like a 30 plus.
Yes.
So I'm a bit scared. I think I have the ability.
I don't feel that though. No, I don't feel that, Mo.
I do though. So
Do you? Okay.
is there another, because I'm pretty strong up there,
Yeah.
but I feel when I go back there and when I'm coming back, like I engage the core, but
Mhm.
I feel the stress on the shoulder joint.
Yeah. So with that one, again, we're gonna pretend like this is really heavy.
Yeah.
So, and whether you're on a ball or a bench, the thing that I always suggest to people when they're going heavy for this particular one, because
Right.
it's an extreme range.
It's an extreme. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this
Okay.
is something that sounds like, I'm gonna assume Sandra, because of swimming, she probably has great mobility and
Yeah.
strength through that joint. So from here, if you're unsure, and even I would just suggest, this is what I do too when I'm going heavy here. My first one is never really full.
Right.
I kind of err on the side of caution.
Portion.
Okay, so
Right.
I'm like, I do one or two with that heavy weight. to
Right.
sort of like prepare the joint
Okay,
as my head, and it warms it up a little bit. Then I start going like
okay,
deeper.
I got you.
Okay, I got it.
I
I
like
got it.
number
Yeah.
3, number 4, and then I
Right.
get to that point where I'm like, oh yeah, that's basically as far as I go, but it doesn't feel risky because I've taken a few reps to really get
Yeah,
that.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and I
that's
think-
that's my specifically for that one. Generally speaking, if we were to train together at the gym and we were doing heavy sets of like lots of things, especially with the barbell, bench press, squats, deadlifts, I would always suggest a bit of a warm up where you do
Yeah.
like 3 to 5,
Yeah.
a little bit lighter for any of those ones that are like really heavy and kind of big range of motion. And I just find it's good for your body, but it's also like just really good for your brain to be like,
Yeah.
okay, I trust this, I got this, and then you can
Yeah.
do the heavy one.
Yeah, that's a very good
Okay.
point.
Got it.
Mhm.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Very
welcome.
good point. Yeah, very good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as I was saying earlier, Sandra, that because I don't have a bench, I think in the new year, I will pull one of my workouts into a gym. And it will
Yeah.
probably be
Yeah.
my
You'll
upper-
know I like having the bench. It's helped me a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah. 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 It's all down there. Like that's from Pete and Jim. Like it's not me. They bought all that stuff. So I use it now.
Right, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like before you got on here, I was just saying how much like I would love people to be in the gym because of the variety and more equipment. But there's also a bunch of people in the group that have throughout the pandemic also really built up their home gyms. So there's
Right.
there's quite a few people that really that do have a pretty good setup, have quite a bit of variety at home. So it's not,
Right.
I'm not trying to say that you have to be at the gym, but there are some of you that could benefit from the odd
From
being there.
I
Yeah.
guess so.
And-
I've just never been a gym person.
yeah,
Never,
and
like-
that's fine. Some of you aren't.
I'm like
And
Mo, like I've run and I've done, but I've never been a gym. And my son he's
Yeah.
huge, like loves
Yeah.
the gym, but I've
Yeah.
never. Yeah.
I am a gym person, but I also, because I feel like for me, I think I sometimes also like the change in scenery. So if you're happy at home, stay. This is to everyone, even listening to the recording. If you're happy at home, stay at home. But if you're finding that it's getting just a little too repetitive, that's a great way to shake it up.
Yeah.
Just do a couple, like just here and there. It doesn't even have to be every week, but just something
Right.
every
Yeah.
once in a while, and it'll be a good way to
Yeah.
give you some variety.
Yeah.
And what I like about the gym too is that when you move to something like a lat pull down, then you really engage the mind body with thinking, oh, I've got to engage the scapula.
Mhm.
And I'm put like, that's what I like about it, is you can really see the benefit of when we hold our weights in
Right.
front rack. Why we hold them in front rack
Mhm.
is so that when we go under the bar, we've got that lovely transition. Like
Definitely.
I would actually probably call you in for a private session when I went into the gym, just so that I had that transition
Yeah.
on some of those exercises.
For
proper,
sure. Yeah,
right?
for sure. And on that note, for any of you that are considering, I actually really love cable work because of that reason. It's actually, the cables are really helpful for really feeling things. You can really feel like things like your scapula, like because you're
right.
sitting upright. At home, we often do work for our back, bent over, which is fine, but sometimes bent over is hard to know where your body is in space. And when you're standing or sitting upright and then squeezing your shoulder blades, it's a much easier position to really feel it. And you've got the cable giving you tension on the entire path of that motion. So whether it's a row or like a pull down, because I'm sitting and gravity's going this way, it helps you really activate those muscles. And then I do actually find after that, the dumbbell work can almost feel better because you've done just a better job of that aha, like, oh, I'm squeezing it better, and then you can replicate it bent over doing the dumbbell stuff after that too. So
Right.
I love cables, but I mean, hard to have a cable machine in your home.
In your home. Yeah.
There are a couple, this is like, there's a couple of you, and if you're watching this, so they have a really cool machine at home that sort of does have a cable where it's not cable like at the gym where you plug the pin in. They actually
Right.
add weights to it, and it
Right.
Okay.
comes up and down that cable. And I think, and it's not very, well, it's big, but not, it's like home gym big, but like perfect for someone who has the space for it. And so that's my dream home gym. So those of you who have one of those, oh, that's the best. So anyways, if there aren't any other questions here, I will leave this at that. And
Yes.
for any of you also watching the recording, if you do have questions, leave them in the comments and I will get back to them when I see them. So
This
thank you guys.
this is made our challenge, or for me, a little bit easier tonight because I've been chatting, so I can't eat. So I have tea. I have some tea, and I so want a cookie that Sandra and I baked today, and I want one of those cookies. I'm going, no.
See, that's great. You just need evening distractions and then you're fine.
Good night, Mo.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thanks for
Love you.
tuning in,
Bye.
ladies. We'll see you
Bye.
soon. Okay, bye-bye.